it's me, Mr. Mario. So, where to start? I just read into Mass Effect 3 a little bit. Now, this might be some old news, but apparently they are going to be guilty of doing the same thing with DLC that I made about a video that I ranted on a few months ago. Does this surprise anyone? Me? Not really, because it's EA, and I fucking hate them. But apparently, they are going to be locking away a piece of Mass Effect 3's storyline. And they will be releasing it as Day 1 DLC. Does anyone else see a problem with this? They are locking away a part of a role-playing game's storyline. Oh, and the only people that can get it are the people that get it on the first day. This is where I start drawing the line. This is where it gets bad, okay? And it's been happening for years with every other thing that's been going on. Fable, the first Fable, for example. They ended up releasing, after that, Fable the Lost Chapters. Why? Because the first game was apparently rushed out, and they couldn't finish it. Assassin's Creed 2, that's another good example. There are 13 sequences in the game, but 2 of them you can only get through DLC. When you play through the game, they are corrupt. However, you have to buy 2 more levels of the storyline for the DLC. And this is just getting terrible, you guys. It really is. This is why I don't like buying games anymore. I don't. There's very few companies that can do it right now. Very few. Now, there are some companies that are still good. I'm okay with Bethesda, for example. Okay? They release a huge game, and then later they release DLC for it. They did it with Oblivion. They sure as hell are going to do it with Skyrim. Sure, they're going to make money off of it, but they actually put work into their stuff. They don't design entire new campaigns and lock them away. They don't design levels and lock them away on the disc. They don't. Same with another one I was thinking of, because I'm excited for Borderlands 2. Gearbox. Gearbox doesn't do that. Now with Borderlands, yes, they released quite a lot of DLC, but it was actually worth getting. Apparently, the last piece of DLC they released for the game I have not played, but I have been told that it's only $10 and it's about half the size of the original game. That's how DLC is supposed to be done. Now, there are some companies that do take it too out of proportion. By that I mean, Bethesda, they're coming in with this, unfortunately. With Fallout 3. They released the game for $60, and then they released 5 pieces of DLC, each for $10 a piece. So you're paying more than $100 for a game. Come on now. In addition to that, retailers like GameStop, for example, know that a game is going to come out, and it's going to have DLC on it, and then people are going to want to get the DLC, so they're going to have to drop the price of the game. So if the companies and the publishers want to monopolize on that, they have to release a complete edition or the Game of the Year edition of a game with all the DLC included. That drops the price of everything. That's why when you go and you buy a new game, when you try and sell it, you will get at most $30 cash for it. That's why. GameStop is a real big reason why game prices are completely fucked up the ass. And there are other places, for example. The store I worked at, we paid better than GameStop, but we still didn't give you top notch. Why? Because every single company and their mother is competing with GameStop's prices. Now, this isn't only attacking GameStop, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying it's companies like that that have really ruined the value of gaming and the price of gaming. It is companies like that force day one DLC on you, that lock away parts of a story, that lock away guns and all that are on the disc. And it's you guys too. The guys who go out and buy a game that is incomplete, like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then get every other version of it that comes out. And this is also killing creativity. It really is. I will be one of the people that says this. But I hated Modern Warfare 3. I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst games I ever played. When I was done with it, I wanted to rip my hair out and destroy my Xbox. It was honestly one of the worst games I have ever played, and I'm glad I did not buy it. I played it, and then I got rid of it. It was terrible. And the terrible thing was, I was on Facebook, and there were people talking about how good the game was, and how amazing and groundbreaking the storyline was, and that there were people crying at the ending, and they clapped at the end, and there was just this fantastic finish. If you haven't played the campaign for Modern Warfare 3, I'll explain it to you right now. You go in, you shoot things for like 4 hours, and then the last 10 minutes of the game, it turns into Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. And that's the end of the game. But why am I telling you this? Who the fuck plays Call of Duty for a storyline? That's why I got so mad at people. People were talking about how great the storyline was, how amazing and diverse the characters were, and how sad they were that many died off. Why would you play Call of Duty for a storyline? And what has made it even worse is that I found out a few months ago. I found out, and it's so sad, but I found out that apparently Nazi Zombies has its own storyline as well. How does that equate into anything logical? Who plays zombies for a storyline? I don't get it. Someone please explain it to me. Now, there are people that are going to say, oh yeah, well, Modern Warfare 3 is the best game ever, and they did all this other stuff. They added a campaign that bored me to tears. And they added, what? Is it, it's not Special Ops, it's Survival Mode or something? I don't know, Survival Mode? I wasn't impressed with that. And sure, they might have tuned the multiplayer a little bit. But to me, it was the same thing as Modern Warfare 2. It was just stuff they could have released as DLC, but they did not. Because they wanted that money, of course. When I saw Modern Warfare 3, I saw creativity just getting killed. And this generation of gamers getting dumber. And even if you're not a gamer and you hate games, you should be worried too. Because these are your friends, your family, your kids that are getting dumbed down by all of this stuff. That are becoming consumer whores with everything. The reason why EA keeps releasing all of these online passes. The reason why Activision is releasing a Call of Duty every year. The reason why they release an assload of DLC for every single game and do day one stuff. Is because they know people will buy it. And you know what the worst part is? People go in, and they buy it, and they complain about how bad it is. After they've bought it. And they keep playing it. Yes. The best example, I don't want to bring up Call of Duty again, for the love of God I don't. But World at War. That was... I have to say, that was on par with me for my least favorite Call of Duty game. I loved Call of Duty 4. I loved it. Excellent game. Modern Warfare 2, kind of the same stuff. World at War was terrible. I hated it, okay? I hated zombies. I hated the boring multiplayer. The campaign was stupid on there. Black Ops was actually interesting. Now, while as the multiplayer didn't interest me, and I've never been interested in zombies, I have to say, even though the campaign was not interesting, it was okay. It was the most interesting out of all the Call of Duties. And here's me, I'm turning into one of those people talking about Call of Duty campaigns. God damn it. But I remember when World at War was out, there were so many people that bought it, and they complained about how glitchy it was and how boring it was. And you know what the worst part was? They then convinced themselves. I'm not kidding. They somehow convinced themselves that the game was good in some type of way. The example I'm bringing up is I was talking to someone on Xbox Live a few years ago, and I was telling him how I hated World at War. And you know what he said? He was like, oh, well, you know, it is glitchy, and it's buggy, and it's not nearly as good as Call of Duty 4. When you first play it, you probably won't like it that much, and it's an okay game, but I mean, once you kind of ignore the glitches and the bugs, and you prestige at least like 3 times, it's actually a somewhat decent game. This poor guy convinced himself that it was a good game. And it wasn't. And Call of Duty is turning into a yearly thing, and I just hate that. All these companies, they're just doing yearly stuff. They are killing creativity. They are killing originality with all this. There's very few companies that are doing stuff right now. And I'm not saying that sequels are bad. I'm saying when you released sequels with no originality or creativity, that's bad. I haven't played the Uncharted series, but look at that. Look how successful it is. Every game, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 got a higher score than its predecessor. Because Naughty Dog actually did something right. They were able to utilize the PS3's hardware as well. People think, oh my god, because PS3 has Blu-ray, it's supposed to be, the game's automatically going to be better on there. No. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, for example, 3.5 gigabytes on 360 and on PS3. Uncharted 3, 45 gigabytes. They utilized the hardware. They knew what they were doing. That's commitment right there. And the problem is, as I said, many of these people know. Everybody knows they're getting tricked with Day 1 DLC. They're getting tricked into buying a yearly series that's probably going to suck or it'll be lackluster, but they still do it. I implore you guys, just stop. Just stop. You're just fueling this. Now, there are some people who think, you know, that they genuinely think that Modern Warfare 3 is an excellent game. I voiced my opinion, that's your opinion. But I'm talking about the people who keep falling for this, and they complain that it happens, and they keep doing it. When they complain about Day 1 DLC, and then you see them at the mall every Tuesday getting the latest game for $65. And then complaining 2 weeks later when they get bored of it, and they end up selling it, and they only get $25. That's what I'm talking about. You all just need to stop. If you're going to buy the game, at least get it on sale or something, for the love of God. That's all I have to say. This got me a little riled up. And probably the last thing I have to say, I will show you all. See this right here? It is sad. It is extremely sad. When I can get a system for half the price, at most, of a game. I can get 360s for free to maybe $30. Most of the time with cables. And a hard drive and maybe a controller or two. I just got a 360 that was working with a 20 gigabyte hard drive and cables and 4 controllers for $40. It is pathetic when I can get a system with all the accessories for cheaper than a retail game. I don't have anything else to say about that. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario. I'm done with my rant for now. Do what you want to do, I guess.